Hello everybody and welcome to the podcast. Hope you're having an absolutely fantastic day. It is the podcast for the 5th of January 2023, the first podcast of the year. How are you doing? Hope you're having a fantastic day. Hope you had a fantastic new year. It's been a fantastic little day here in Japan. We just had all the New Year's celebrations. That was interesting, I have to say, very different than the UK. I actually didn't go out on New Year's Eve because I was getting the ferry off the island in the morning, so I had to leave here at about 4 a.m. to get the ferry at 6 o'clock. So I had to miss out on all the fun, but I got to hear a little bit of it. I certainly did. There's a shrine or a temple not too far from my house, and at about 10 or 11 o'clock on New Year's Eve. Bearing in mind, I'm trying to sleep because I have to get up at 4 a.m. to get a ferry. All I hear is gong, gong, and there's no like timing to the gong. So sometimes it'd be gong, 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 and then it'd wait, and then I'd think, oh cool, I can fall asleep. And then all of a sudden it would go gong again, and then gong again. And that went on for about half an hour. And then I suddenly decided, you know what, if I hit my AC and whack up the heat, that the sound of the AC going will drown out the pesky sound of the gongs. But that was interesting, it's something different here. It's a tradition for Japanese people to go to a shrine on the 1st, so when I got to Fukuoka I could see queues for shrines everywhere, so I avoided those like the plague. And also a big tip, if you're ever coming to Japan on New Year's, actually I would say try and avoid the 1st and possibly the 2nd as well, because we had a bit of a shock when we got there on the 1st. We were trying to find places to go out and have some fun, and a lot of them, especially the bars, were closed on the 1st of January. So were a lot of the restaurants, and a few other places were also closed. So just a big tip if that's something you're into. I will say there's a lot of shopping though. If you're into shopping, good lord, the amount of shops that were open and were having different deals on was quite a lot, and I certainly got use of deals. I got a nice jumper that I'm not wearing now because it's in the wash at the moment. But January is great. I went to a batting cage for the first time and had a go at that. I have to say, if I should have been born in America, let me tell you, I'm fantastic at baseball after hitting those slow balls that I managed to hit. And I managed to hit most of them, and I don't think there was 3 where I missed consecutively. So there have been no strikeout for me. I would have been the greatest batsman to ever be in Japan or in America. But I went to this one place in Fukuoka, and I have to tell you, wow, it has it all. In one building, it has, and this is in the middle of Fukuoka, by the way, it's on multi-level. It has a basketball court, a small one. It has a volleyball court, again a small one, really designed for children, the volleyball court. But it has then bowling, ping pong or table tennis, whatever you want to call it, karaoke, bowling, an arcade, and pachinko machines, and then just floors of arcade. And I have to say, and pool tables and darts. Really fun place, really cool. You could actually spend a whole evening there, and it's right in the middle of Tenjin, so if you ever go there, I highly recommend that. While I was there, I got to indulge in a few things I can't get here on the island, and I have to say I indulged in some Western things that I definitely can't get on the island. One is Domino's. I tell you what, I love jalapenos, and they're really hard to find, especially on the island, and even in a lot of Japanese restaurants. It's not a Japanese dish, jalapeno, so I get the hot and spicy big pizza at Domino's, and I enjoy that. Also, the nice thing about being on the island here is I try and eat relatively clean, he says, after just destroying a big bag of crisps, but I try and eat relatively clean while I'm here, and then I go to the mainland about once a month. Oh, sorry, the light just switched off. So I go to the mainland about once a month, and I get to indulge in some bad food there. And I have to say, when I'm there, I enjoy indulging because I eat terribly, I drink loads of sugary drinks, and I eat pretty much whatever I want. For those of you who just noticed, I while in beautiful Fukuoka, I picked myself up a little ring light, and that's improved the video's quality by about 10%. It's just nice that sometimes I notice in some of the videos, if there was a shadow while I was filming in the day, it would look weird in the video. So I bought myself a cheap little ring light. I have to say, it is fantastic. It's a little USB one. It's got a load of buttons on it. It was the best, I think, 3,000 or 4,000 yen that I've ever spent. But one place I'll tell you to avoid if you go into Fukuoka is in Tenjin. There is a Don Quixote there, and like all Don Quixotes, it can be really busy and it can be chaos. And I didn't realise that the queue that I got in for one day was for the medicine and also the foreign exchange section. Now the medicine bit is only open on that day, it was only open after 2 p.m. so it was just so busy. I waited in line for like 20 minutes to get this, and the only reason I didn't just leave or go downstairs, because I thought, oh, downstairs is going to be just as busy, and then I go downstairs after waiting 20 minutes for the queue to see, no, it's not busy at all. But that Don Quixote is so busy. There's a few others in Fukuoka that I've been to. There's one on, I believe it's the east side of the city, and it's quite far away from the actual like Tenjin and those areas, but that one was much bigger, and it had a lot less people, so go to that one. There's also one which is sort of in line with the port. If you draw a straight line up from the port, there's a little island section. There's Don Quixote there. That one's a bit confusing because it's in a mall, and most of the Don Quixotes, they're just a store within themselves, and this one is like loads of little Don Quixotes on different floors. But that one was not too bad, not too busy, and you can actually shop around. And they had some of the weirdest shoes while I was there, man. They had these trainers, but they had the backs cut off, so you were just wandering in your heel. I have to say, not for me, not very fashionable. I don't think so. But it's been an interesting new year, it certainly had. My Christmas was unlike any other Christmas that I've ever been to. I went to the gym on Christmas Day, which I believe is a first for me. Pretty sure it's a first for me. I didn't have roast turkey or anything. I had steak, but let me tell you, it was an absolutely delicious bit of steak. The one thing I will say about Japan is meat, I think, is really cheap, or it's the same price as sort of in the UK, whereas fruit and vegetables, Jesus, they're so expensive, it's unreal. And I think here on the island as well, we do not get the prime choice of fruit. We seem to get the offcasts that I think the mainland does. I think it comes to the mainland and they go, oh, should we throw this away? No, we'll send it up to Toshima. Off it pops, it certainly does. And we end up with that. A lot of it, you really have to watch here when buying fruit, because there's so many times I've bought like a bag of oranges and there'll be just one mouldy orange in it. Then by the next day, the fruit's going off. I mean, if you buy it, you really have to eat it like that. I think that's why I found it really weird when I first came to Toshima, and this isn't just a Toshima problem, it's sort of throughout Japan, although I did go to a mall on the outskirts of Fukuoka where they had a proper supermarket where you walked around with big trolleys, and I was going, wow, this is like being in America or something, or back in the UK. In the UK, we have big trolleys. You put it in, and you do, at least a monthly, maybe a 2-weekly, a week shop. You have big trolleys. Here in Japan, you get a basket, and if you're lucky, you'll have this trolley that you can put the basket in, and sometimes it will have a basket underneath, so you can put 2 baskets. So you really don't get to buy a lot when you're shopping around, and it's such a hassle to actually bring it to your car, I find here, because those little trolleys that you can put your basket onto, they then are sort of expected to stay in the store. It's really weird. A lot of the shops that I've been to actually get out with the trolleys, they have the bumps on the pavement, so the trolley will hit the bumps and it will be unbelievably difficult to get it out. It's crazy, absolutely crazy. But yeah, I compared to the mainland, even the fruit there is still kind of similar prices. It's a little bit more expensive here, but even that fruit I was looking at going, this still isn't amazing. When I thought, I heard before Japan about saying how good the fruit is, and how you spend £20 for an apple, but I was always sort of led to believe that you spend £20 for an apple because it's the best apple that you've ever had. It's amazing. It's the greatest quality ever. It's coming out as fresh. It tastes absolutely delicious. And I have to say, it's not necessarily the truth. It's more like you find one good apple in a bunch. I can't say I've had the best bits of fruit ever here on the island. It's okay. You got to eat fruit every now and again to stop scurvy. But yeah, it's a weird one. It's nice going to the mainland, coming back and feeling a little bit refreshed. We here in Japan have another bank holiday coming back soon. So most people here in Japan had I believe it was, so most people had the 29th, 30th, and then it was the weekend. And then we had the Monday and the Tuesday off, and we're back on the 4th. So we're working on the 4th of January, 5th of January, 6th of January, got the weekend, and we've got another bank holiday. I don't understand the Japanese bank holidays. I love them. I think they're great. But we do have now a bit of a long time before our next bank holiday. Here in Japan, we normally get a bank holiday about once a month, and this is no exception. We have a bank holiday coming up on I think it's the 21st or 22nd of February, or the sort of ended February. So we've got to wait over a month for that one. So that's going to feel like a long time here. I have to say, I do think the bank holidays are brilliant. I would keep them wherever I was. They're really good. Having a bank holiday off once a month is so refreshing. It really is. And I think the UK could definitely do with it. And what we have strange is we have like no bank holidays whatsoever, and then in May we have 2, then we have a huge gap. I just wish they'd be spread around a little bit better. I suppose the nice thing that we get is Easter, which I don't think they have here, but they have their sort of golden week around then, so it's a bit different. But we're going into the news now and what's been going on here in Japan, and just one news story. This has got nothing to do with Japan, I'm just interested in it. Did you see the Netflix show that had the guy who was committing fraud and getting people into all these different universities? The actresses, you had the one from Full House that her 2 children got into, I think it was the same university, might have been 2 different ones, but she used this guy to get her in, and she actually went to prison for 2 months. And in the documentary, it looked like the main guy was actually going to get free. William Rick Singer, who set up all these colleges and was the guy who you'd consult with and say, oh, how can we get into these universities? He would effectively give bribes in the form of donations to all these different universities to let people go there. It was a little bit mad. And in the documentary, it kind of looked like he was going to get off because he was helping catch all these other people. He was basically being a grass. And it actually found out the other day he's going to prison for 3.5 years, which I have to say, originally they were looking for 6 years, I think, for prosecution for this. So I can't say him being a grass has actually helped him at all. They're also, as well, which I didn't realise, they're asking the American government for, I think it's about $10 million. And the reason that they're asking for this is because he actually didn't claim the money that he was earning during this time. So not only was he defrauding all these universities and all these spaces that other people would have got, he also defrauded the people out of the tax, which it's like Breaking Bad. I just remember that moment just being like, oh, you're a drug dealer. No, you're avoiding tax, and that's even worse, and we can't have you avoiding tax. So you need to launder your money and make it clean. But it was some crazy stuff. It's a really good documentary on Netflix. If you haven't found it, give it a Google. It's I'll get the name for you while we search for it. In other news here in big lovely Japan, China is opening up, and here in Japan they're requiring Netflix. They're requiring COVID tests to come in. I saw the UK that they're doing this. There's a whole new strain of the vid coming out, which I saw today, and it's like, oh, can we just have a little bit of peace and quiet, please? That would be absolutely fantastic. I'm so sick of this stuff. But the Netflix show is called Operation Varsity Blues, the college admission scandal. Give that a watch. It's really, really good. I certainly enjoyed that documentary when I watched it. I also, speaking about Netflix documentaries, one that is a Japanese one, which I really, really recommend watching, is called Alice in Borderland. Second season has been really good, or the first sort of half of it has been. I'm yet to finish it. I need to sit down and finish that. Am I the only one who's finding it really difficult to watch a full movie series or a full TV series? Like, I gotta put this away, man, when I'm watching films, because I get a message and then I literally, that's it, I'm stuck scrolling Instagram, or I'm doing other stuff, and I'm not watching the movie properly, and I really, really need to do that. In fact, one which I find hilarious was Stranger Things, the last series of that. A lot of people were telling me how good it was, how amazing it was, and I remember watching it thinking, yeah, it's pretty good. But then I remember being like, oh yeah, I think I fell asleep for half an episode. The other episodes I sat on my phone, and it's like, oh, if you're gonna watch TV, put the phone away, stop scrolling. The worst thing is now I have lots of friends, do you have this, that just send you Instagram videos, which I love. I think they're hilarious. But the second I see one of those messages pop up, that's it, bang, I'm on this scrolling cycle forever, baby. There's nothing that I can do. I spend the next half an hour then just flicking, and sending other videos that people have sent me to other people, and it's just this endless spiral that just keeps going on and on and on and on. In sport, which I was a little bit surprised to see this, was Cristiano Ronaldo going over to Saudi Arabia. I thought he would make a move to America, maybe Europe. I was very surprised that he's going there. I did read the interview from the manager that he's moving to, and I thought, okay, this makes sense. That the manager's kind of going, we're going to let him play how he wants to play, and just let him do what he does for a year or two. It's going to bring some press to that side of the globe, which I don't think is very represented in football. Especially, I had never heard of the team before this. I'm not a huge football fan, but I think as every British person, we jump in and jump out of it as we do. Here in beautiful Japan, it's getting very, very cold. I was Googling when is the coldest month here in Japan, and it turns out, or especially where I am, it is January, and let me tell you, it's freezing here. I cannot wait for summer, and I say this, I am on the island that has no snow, which is very good. I'd hate to be up in Sapporo. I think you just freeze to death. I could never do it. Move down here to this beautiful little island and have no problem. Or there's lots of other little islands that are based around Nagasaki that are great. I don't think they get any snow either. And yeah, move to there, or move to Okinawa, where they never get snow. But you have to deal with a lot of, I think, what is it? Urbanization. It's not. It's very different, the experience there, than it is here. From what I've heard, I've not been to Okinawa. I'd love to go, love to visit, but now that I've heard that, it's not very high on my my Japanese list. I love scuba diving though, and I hear they have a lot there. I also, so I like doing judo, and I like the history of martial arts. I like to hear that Okinawa is the home of karate, and I'd like to hear the history on that, and I'd like to see if there's anything dedicated to that. That would be really interesting there. But I don't want to go somewhere. I had this problem when I was travelling around Europe a little bit. You go to every single city in major Europe, and a lot of them feel the same. They really do. Once you get like away from sort of the big tourist thing. There's always a H&M in places, there's always all these different shops, and you're just like, it's all the same. It's all the same. I like different things. It's kind of why I moved to Japan. I like to see different stuff. Speaking of back home, we got the Prince Harry, his book is coming out, and I just saw the story saying Prince Harry accuses Prince William of physical attack in book. I have to say, I'm just reading the headline. I've been very bad. I'm not going to read the full article. I just think, two brothers fighting each other. That's never happened in the history of time. That's just like, I'm so sick of these stories. I just wish they'd get on and move on for it. I thought this was someone who didn't want to be in the headlines and is now releasing a book along with a Netflix series. That doesn't make sense to me. We got the news story here as well that 2022 was the hottest year on record. I have to say, I wish 2023 could be, because I got back to this tiny little island yesterday and I was going, good Lord, it's so cold. I need something. The one phrase that I have picked up from all Japanese people is semi-desu, which is it's cold. And let me tell you, it is very cold. But apart from that, really, that is the news story of today. That's everything that's been going on here. Next couple of days I will do another podcast and I'll get more Japanese news coming up and what's going on there. This episode has just been more about checking in and saying how has your Christmas been. I hope everyone's had a fantastic one. I hope everyone had a fantastic new year. And as always, I'll speak to you in the next video. Have a awesome day and be yourself.